Now, Wave News at 5.
No one should be scared to stand at a bus stop. No one should worry that their child will be the next victim of gun violence.
Children and parents had to dodge and duck bullets while standing at a JCPS bus stop this morning. The shooter still hasn't been caught, and this is the second incident happening within a week at the corner of 10th and Chestnut. This is Wave News at 5. I'm Myra Ansari. Brian is off tonight. The shooting happened around 8 o'clock this morning near a bus stop at 10th and West Chestnut Streets. LMPD says that a woman walking with a student was shot and died after being taken to the hospital. The child she was with was not hurt. The shooting happened near Central High School with classes already in session. Classes at nearby Coleridge Taylor Elementary hadn't started yet. The thought of students and parents around angering the community, with the JCPS superintendent calling the violence senseless.
This morning, someone committed an unspeakable act of violence, taking the life of a woman at a bus stop, witnessed by innocent young children. This is not just a tragedy. This is not just a tragedy. It's an outrage. It's unacceptable.
And the name of the woman killed has not been released yet. JCPS tells us that there was a raised security level for a short time at Central High, Coleridge Taylor Elementary, and the Academy at Shawnee, but classes were in session. LMPD, JCPS, and the YMCA are working with students and families who are trying to process and cope with the impact of this violence. And LMPD had initially arrested a 15-year-old suspect, but hours later, Chief Humphrey says that police realized that he wasn't the person responsible for the shooting after interviewing him. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franceschini joins us live from the scene of the shooting. And Fernando, LMPD says that killer is still out there.
Yeah, Myra, LMPD says they are actively looking for the person they say shot and killed a woman as she was walking a little girl to her bus stop this morning. That bus stop, as you can see, I'm going to move out of the frame so you can take a look, has now been filled with people who have gathered here to welcome students as they get dropped off of the school buses this afternoon. You can also see balloons there in that area as a show of solidarity from the community. Chief Humphrey actually says there were multiple children in this area when that shooting happened. And take a look at your screen right now, because this is the person LMPD says is the suspect in this shooting. This is, again, Myra, like you were mentioning, the second shooting in this same area in less than a week. Police say they're still working to learn if these shootings are related, and LMPD has not really said if the shooting victim was targeted or if there has been a possible motive for the shooting suspect. We did speak to a neighbor who got emotional thinking about the toll these shootings have had in her community.
When that happens in the community, that's me.
That's right.
That could have been one of my kids.
That's right.
One of my grandkids. One of my great-grandkids.
Chief Humphrey mentioned that there were officers at the bus stop in the days following last week's shooting, the first shooting, but he says today was actually the first day there were no patrols here. He says that that's because officers determined there wasn't a threat in the area anymore. Chief Humphrey says JCPS, the YMCA, and other organizations have partnered to provide counseling and services to students and families impacted, and LMPD is asking anyone with information on the suspect or the shooting to call the tip line at 574 LMPD. Reporting live, Fernando Garcia Franceschini, Wave News.
All right, thank you, Fernando. And we do have some breaking news right now just into our newsroom. Louisville Metro Police, they have made a second arrest after bullets were fired on the first day of school at that same bus stop. A 15-year-old was arrested on Saturday, and about 15 minutes ago, LMPD announced that they've charged a second 15-year-old with 33 counts of wanton endangerment. The teen's also charged with being a minor with a gun, his second offense for that crime. A group of volunteers, they are making sure that students make it to their school bus safely. Ahead at 5:30, we're going to hear from Kamal Wells, who runs the organization Men Against Gun Violence. He tells us about coordinating effort to watch students at bus stops in the Park Hill, Shawnee, and Russell neighborhoods. The effort started in 2021 after a student was murdered while waiting for the bus. And Metro Council's Minority Caucus says that they are working on new policies after last week's home invasion, kidnapping, and bank robbery. The caucus members shared some of their plans in a statement today. It comes after police say Armond Langford kidnapped a mother and her 2 children at their home before forcing them to drive to the PNC Bank on Shelbyville Road. The mother was stabbed during the incident, but the children weren't physically hurt. The 12 Republican members of the Louisville Metro Council say that the decision to offer shock probation to Langford was a terrible mistake. They say that local prosecutors and judges are not scrutinized on the same level of LMPD. And the Minority Caucus says that they will work to create lasting policy initiatives in the coming weeks. We're continuing to follow these developing stories as we learn more information. You can always follow updates on air and on Wave 3's website and on our streaming platforms. All right, let's shift gears now and go to your forecast. Some folks are seeing some rain today. Let's get a check of what's happening tonight with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned. Hey, Kevin.
Yeah, hey there, Myra. Thanks. We do see a few scattered downpours across the metro and in other places across the viewing area. Downtown, we're dry. This is the camera looking for New Albany, and you can see the downtown skyline there. But not everybody is, and I'll point that out in the radar view in just a second. 89 our current temperature at the airport. A lot of 80s today. A few more clouds than we had yesterday, and yes, we have a few downpours. So let's dive into it. The radar view shows some of those across parts of Scott County, southern parts of Jefferson County, Indiana, northern Clark, back into southern Washington. These are isolated downpours, much like we're seeing here in Louisville. We've got one not far from the Highlands as you work your way down toward the zoo. So it's passing by there over toward Whitner. That's going to take you along Champions Trace Lane, Jennings Lane. That's going to be right along Goldsmith as you push over towards Seneca High School. And then one just south of there near McNeely Lake. And boy, you folks have had a decent amount of rain this week over the last several days. Clusters of showers seem to have formed over McNeely Lake a number of times. Another downpour, southern parts of Hardin County and LaRue County. That's the strongest one in the viewing area. All are sub-severe, should stay that way. Rain chances fade, 70s tonight. The 10-day forecast is coming up, Myra.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. A Corydon Central junior high teacher found a bag of cocaine taped under a desk yesterday before students arrived to school. Wave troubleshooters found out that the bag was a training device used by police's canines. Harrison County Sheriff Nick Smith says that his office had organized a training at the school before summer break ended. He said the bag wasn't found by the drug dog, and the officer forgot to make sure that they retrieved the bag from the school. Smith apologized for the mistake and says that he's already changed the policy. Now, 2 officers must witness that these training aids are getting recovered from any type of training. Smith also says that they will not be training in any schools moving forward. Reshoring jobs from overseas to the United States. It was the message from GE Appliances today as the company announced a $3 billion investment into American manufacturing. Wave News anchor Brian Schlonsky was there for the announcement. The company says it is all about creating American jobs.
We're here to talk about the hottest investment in American manufacturing this year.
American manufacturing, it's back. It is back.
Back, says GE Appliances, to the tune of a $3 billion investment in U.S. operations over the next 5 years. The company says the move will create 1,000 jobs across 5 states, especially right here in Louisville at Appliance Park.
This is what Built for America, this is what it looks like. Bigger American investments, more American jobs, a future right here where we're standing.
The company says it's their biggest investment since the park was built, part of a $6.5 billion U.S. specific plan since 2016.
We're not talking about reshoring products, we're actually doing it. We're not talking about increasing manufacturing, we are adding it day after day after day.
Governor Andy Beshear, one of several politicians that toured the plant on Wednesday, checking out the spaces and workers that are already pumping out washers and speaking in the new space that will become a production area for combo washer dryers and front load washers in Louisville. The governor says it's returning jobs from China back home.
GE also chose to bring laundry production to Louisville, reshoring from China to Kentucky.
And GE also revealed a new mobile laundry unit. It'll let families who are recovering from natural disasters like tornadoes have clean access to laundry quickly and at no cost. Well, we warned you about a potential road closure near the KFC Center near downtown Louisville yesterday, and now we have new details on the closures. It comes as the arena is undergoing a full replacement of its original roof. It's part of the long-term repair and replacement plans of the Louisville Arena Authority. A portion of 3rd Street between River Road and Main Street will be closed starting on Monday and will remain in place through December. Additional temporary road closures may be required as work progresses. The redevelopment of the former Colgate plant in Clarksville appears to be moving forward after a settlement agreement is reached in a federal lawsuit. Clark's Landing Enterprise Investments, LLC, owns the property and reached an agreement with Clarksville Town Council to end 3 years of court battles. The site, which includes the historic clock and was a plant for Colgate Palmolive, closed in 2007. A judge still needs to approve the agreement. Town Council says if approved, they are looking forward to Wayland Ventures redeveloping the property into commercial, residential, and hotel space. Coming up, the Office of Violence and Prevention is focused on fighting crime and connecting with communities. You're going to hear their plan to tackle these issues ahead at 5:30. Plus, a change in how Indiana tracks certain special education documents has led to confusion at the start of the new school year. We're learning the impact it's having in the classroom.
Wave News.
Indiana parents and teachers are struggling with a new education tracking system for students with special needs. The Indiana Department of Education recently changed the system it uses to store and track individualized education programs, or IEPs. These are legal documents that outline a student's educational needs and goals and follows them throughout school. Now, in addition to access issues with the new system, there have been problems getting existing IEPs into the new program. Those have since been resolved, but a new parent portal to check on the information is still being worked on. Hoosier parents are asked to have patience during the transition and stay on top of developments with your child's school. Oldham County students kicked off their first day of school this morning. The district's new superintendent, Claudette Harold, along with the principal and other staff, welcomed students at Harmony Elementary, and some of the students shared their excitement with Wave News reporter Marissa Burke.
What are you looking forward to for today?
Probably recess. I feel like everybody picks recess.
What are you most excited about?
Learning.
You nervous about going to a new school, Zia?
Kinda.
What are you excited for the most going into school?
I like cupcakes.
Yeah.
As teachers and staff welcome students into Harmony Elementary, Oldham County Schools is welcoming its new superintendent. Claudette Harold tells me she already has a plan of action to encourage kids to do their best.
One of the great things about Oldham County Schools is our academics and the legacy that we already have. We want to continue that, and so that means just being visible and doing walkthroughs and instructional rounds just to be in that process with our staff.
Marissa Burke, Wave News.
Well, funnel cakes, corn dogs, you're just a day away from all of your favorite carnival foods. We've got more information about the Kentucky State Fair before opening day.
Yeah, we're tracking a few downpours across the metro and elsewhere in the viewing area. We'll give you a latest radar check and when those temperatures may reach the warmest we've seen so far this season. We've got the 10-day earliest alert when we come back on Wave News at 5.
Well, we are less than 24 hours away from gates opening for this year's Kentucky State Fair. And the fair kicks off at the Kentucky Expo Center tomorrow. This year's theme is All Things Kentucky, all in one place. And the fair will include your favorite carnival foods, the Texas Roadhouse Concert Series, and livestock shows. The fair runs from August 14th through the 24th. You can grab your tickets online right now. And you can catch the Wave News team at the fair next week for Wave News Day at the fair. That's set for Tuesday, August 19th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can stop by and talk, take pictures, and grab some free swag. We'll be inside in South Wing A. And the great thing about the Kentucky State Fair is that A lot of things are indoors, so you don't have to be outside in the heat if you don't want to. Maybe if it's raining like it has been a little bit today. Look there at the rides all set up, ready to go for tomorrow, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hot one.
Well, I tell you, and out there in the Midway, it can get hot because there's not a lot of wind typically. Had a few nice days last year for the fair. It wasn't overly extreme, but this year we're going to start it on the hot note, that's for sure, and then it gets better for the second half.
Okay, so you're saying more lemonade shake-ups and ice cream is how we should deal with it.
I think every fair deserves that, right?
Exactly.
Cool or not. Cool or hot. All right, hey, let's jump outside and I'll show you the heat that's going to intensify by the weekend. We're talking highs, perhaps the warmest we've seen so far this season. We're at 91 for tomorrow. No, that's not it. It's later in the weekend and early next week where we could hit 97, and that is the heat wave that's on, where we will stay in the 90s right through the weekend into early next week. And it's not just for us, the eastern half of the country really seeing this heat build, at least for this weekend. But the long-range computer guidance shows that that heat breaks and we actually bring in some cooler temperatures later in the month, and I think you'll appreciate that. All right, let's take a look at the State Fair forecast then. The 14th through the 24th, the run dates. We've got the at least first 3 days here. We'll go 91 tomorrow, 93 on Friday. The heat keeps climbing, 96, excuse me, on Saturday, and we'll go 97 on Sunday and Monday. Each of those days only with a very minor rain chance, so prepare accordingly. All right, let me get you outside just to point out here in Louisville, we've seen a partly sunny sky. That's what we have over the downtown skyline in the distance. This view coming to us from New Albany. Looking good. Temperature 89. We're seeing a mix of mid and upper 80s just about everywhere. The places that are in the 70s like Salem and Madison are because there's rain, and we do have a few downpours that we're tracking, much like we've seen the last several days. These are isolated to scattered. They're not everywhere. Some places wind up with no rain at all. In fact, many wind up with no rain at all. Here in Jefferson County, we've had this fading shower across anywhere from the Highlands as you work your way right down past Seneca High School, the Appliance Park toward Hollow Creek. Additional downpours going on to the north and southern Indiana are also starting to fade across parts of Scott County, northern Clark, back into southern Washington. And then one downpour as you work your way not far from Pioneer Village in Bullitt County. This, if it holds together, could clip Mount Washington. It's going to be close. It probably will fade away before it reaches there. Additional downpours over into Spencer County, not far from Taylorsville and Crenshaw. We have a couple of downpours on the radar. The trend will be to fade those out through the evening hours. The cold front to the north with southerly winds interacting with that, squeezing out some of that moisture, giving the unsettled weather across the southeast part of the United States. It is much drier on the backside of the cold front, but it's not a lot cooler. Our temperatures overnight tonight will be falling back into the 70s. By early tomorrow, we're still holding on to mostly cloudy skies. In the afternoon, note the time, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, peak heating, we see that 20% storm chance develop for our Thursday ahead. And then we'll fade that out for the first day of the fair. Minor rain chance in the afternoon. Highs upper 80s to lower 90s. That's where we are now. It's 89, but the heat index makes it feel like 95. Tonight's low will drop to 73. It's a warm and muggy night for us, partly cloudy. Tomorrow with some sunshine, it's a 20% storm chance. 91 for the high temperature, and in the 10-day earliest alert, we keep climbing. 93 Friday, 96 on Saturday. I said it would get hotter, and it does. 97 for our high temperature Sunday, Monday, staying in the mid-90s Tuesday, and then you'll notice the scattered storms mid next week. Behind that front, we actually cool it down back into the 80s with lows in the 60s.
That's going to be
pleasant.
Yeah, very pleasant. All right. Thanks so much, Kevin. Well, with the countdown until the state fair starts, the final touches are happening now until the gates open. But coming up, we're going to have more from President Trump that says Russia will face severe consequences unless it agrees to end the Ukraine war. He talked with the Ukrainian president on the matter today. We've got details from Washington on the push for a ceasefire next. President Trump says Russia will face severe consequences unless it agrees to end the Ukraine war. He talked with the Ukrainian president on the matter today, and we've got details from Washington on a push for a ceasefire coming up.
The first is I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing.
The president describing what he plans to accomplish when he meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin this Friday in Alaska, as President Trump tries to find a way to end the war in Ukraine. This morning, President Trump speaking to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders. They were not invited to the Alaska summit and are worried that any agreement made there could be disastrous for Ukraine and Europe. President Trump has said there may need to be some territory swapping between Russia and Ukraine, but that's a non-starter for Zelensky, who urged President Trump not to give in to Putin. Zelensky insists Russia does not want peace and instead wants to fully occupy Ukraine. Meanwhile, today, President Trump downplaying expectations for the summit at a U.S. military base in Anchorage. The president saying he will only have a second meeting with Russia and Ukraine at the table if he gets the answers he's looking for from Putin on Friday.
I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself.
President Trump eager to end the war in Ukraine and fulfill a campaign promise, which has already proven to be a great challenge.
After months of Trump-led efforts that have yielded not a single concession from Russia.
And while the president prepares for the Alaska summit, his efforts to tamp down crime in Washington, D.C. are underway. The first round of National Guard troops are now in the streets of the nation's capital. A White House official said the guards are being deployed to deter crime, protect federal assets, and provide a safe environment for law enforcement officers to make arrests. Legally, the president's emergency powers to take control of the D.C. police only last for 30 days, and any extension must be approved by Congress. And today, President Trump said he was going to ask Congress for an extension, and he is confident that he will get that. Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, the White House.
And another development from the Trump administration is the push to review the Smithsonian's museum exhibits. The White House laid out the order for the review in a letter to museum leaders. The letter directs officials at 8 museums to turn over info about current plans to commemorate the country's 250th anniversary in the next 30 days. More museums will be reviewed later. The review will assess things like online content, exhibition planning, and the use of certain grants and exhibit messaging. And the administration says the order is to make sure that they align with President Trump's vision. Coming up, a local group continues their focus to keep everyone safe at JCPS bus stops after this week's shootings and a deadly shooting that happened at a stop 4 years ago. You're going to hear their plea to the community on how they can join their mission.
Wave News at 5.
2 shootings in 1 week, both happening near JCPS bus stops on West Chestnut Street. The first happening on the first day of school last week, and the second just this morning. A woman was killed while walking a child to the bus stop, and the shooter hasn't been arrested yet. The community and local leaders frustrated with the fear of safety for students heading back to school. And one local group has been working for years out at bus stops to deter violence and prevent these types of tragedies. We're hearing from a Louisville mother who lost her child after a shooting at a bus stop 4 years ago. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote spoke with those trying to protect students.
The founder of the organization Men Against Gun Violence tells me he was actually on the way to that bus stop on Chestnut Street for his typical duties before that shooting happened. He says situations like today's are why he needs more volunteers to prevent tragedies.
How you doing, love? My Nancy used to live over there. Yeah, like our teachers?
Kamal Wells has boots on the ground. Wells stands guard because he knows why it's so important. After 2 shootings at a JCPS bus stop within days, the most recent turning deadly. But what started it all was another deadly shooting 4 years ago.
It was the worst day of my life.
A drive-by shooting killed Tyree Smith, an innocent bystander, and wounded 2 others at a JCPS bus stop in the Russell neighborhood. Kamal Wells leapt into action.
Day after, we on bus stops. The very next day, we start being on bus stops.
Wells and a few other volunteers formed the group Men Against Gun Violence. They volunteered to stand watch over bus stops in high-crime neighborhoods.
Our job is to make sure they're safe.
Our children have a right to go to school, to go to the grocery store, the parks, anywhere, and be safe. You know, if we're trusting our kids to do the right thing and be out and go, They shouldn't have to worry about someone shooting near where they're supposed to be loading the bus at. You know, it's just horrible.
Sharita Smith, Tyree's mother, says the work Wells does to honor her son and protect others gives her peace of mind.
What's up, young lady?
I thank them. I can't thank them enough, you know, for what they started and what they're doing.
But Wells says he can't cover much ground without volunteers. Wednesday's bus stop tragedy highlights his need for more volunteers. He says numbers are down this year.
I felt bad that I didn't have enough volunteers that could have been there during that time. If I had it my way, I have a man and a woman on every bus stop, period.
While he's out at the bus stops, he's working to deter violence, but he's also making a personal difference in the kids' lives. And while times can get tough.
And I ask the kids, I ask them, do you feel better when I'm out here?
He keeps his focus on the mission.
Yeah, I feel better when you're here.
Oh, I bet they do.
You know, and that let me know that okay, I need to make sure that we do what we do.
Kirsten Foote.
No problem.
Wave News.
And we're looking at all reactions and impacts in this constantly developing story. Coming up at 8 o'clock tonight on Wave Extra, our Jose Zozaya will break down the mayor and the police chief's answers to reporters' questions. Jose?
That's right, Myra. In fact, if you tuned in for that as it was happening live, you might have heard a question that wasn't coming from somebody right there among the gaggle of media. It was from a frustrated neighbor, boiled over, and sort of those frustrations still lingered around. So make sure you tune in tonight for Wave Extra for her commentary on what's going on in that corner of her neighborhood. You can tune in by streaming Wave News on all your different social media or finding the Wave Now app on your smart TVs. We'll make sure to break that down for you, Myra.
All right. Thank you, Jose. Curbing crime and connecting communities, that's just two parts of the Louisville Office of Violence Prevention. The office, originally launched in 2013 as part of Louisville City leaders' plan to crack down on gun violence. James Tatum said that he and his team, they have some challenges and big goals ahead. Safe Louisville has three distinct goals: prevention, intervention, and enforcement. Tatum says that his team will be working independently from LMPD, instead working with other outreach organizations that will target specific issues.
We're working directly with many city agencies. We're working with nonprofits, community organizations, and individuals, really trying to listen as much as possible. You know, we're trying to be everywhere all at once, so we're going to continue trying to do that as well, because I know that people want to be heard.
Tatum adds that there will also be anti-violence coalition groups in several neighborhoods, including Russell, Shawnee, Newburgh, and Algonquin neighborhoods. The office helps fund community organizations through several grants. All right, let's go to your forecast now with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett. Kevin, tomorrow's the first day of the fair, and a lot of folks are going to be headed out to the Expo Center.
Yeah, I have a feeling it'll be a good start. We have lower rain chance, but a little more heat, and we'll do that day by day into the weekend, Myra. A few clouds around the area today, and we have been tracking a few downpours on the radar too. Current temperature, you were just looking at Bardstown, it's 87 there. Our temperature in Louisville at 89. Most are in the mid to upper 80s, a few in the 70s, and that's where we currently have the rain falling, and that's not hard to pick out. Most places are dry, but you can see a couple of boundaries on the map. There's one just off to our north and one more just off to our south. Those two areas seeing some of that rain. Let me zoom into it. Scott County, Indiana, northern Clark County, back out into even northwest Floyd County, seeing a couple of downpours. Here in Louisville, over toward J-Town, we've got a downpour that's still on the map. Otherwise, as we look a little closer where we had rain just a few minutes ago, it's already fizzled out and moving away. So it doesn't take long for these showers to sort of fade out. Again, pointing out that J-Town has about the only rain we see in Jefferson County at this point. South of E-Town, closer to Hodgenville, a few downpours. Some of those stretch down toward and south of the Western Kentucky Parkway in Grayson County. Hour by hour, rain chances fade. Temperatures will fall into the 70s overnight. A hot 10-day forecast, at least for the weekend. We'll tackle that for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Kevin. A Louisville woman is under arrest after police say that she was hiding drugs in baby bottles, endangering two kids inside the home. Shively police arrested LaPrecious Talbert yesterday after a search of her home back on August 5th. Police found fentanyl, 6 bottles of prescription cough syrup, and marijuana. They say some of the cough syrup was hidden inside the baby bottles. Officers also found 2 guns that were not secure, endangering the 4- and 6-year-old inside the home. Talbert's facing 7 charges, including endangering the welfare of a minor and wanton endangerment. New here at 5:30, more than 7,000 pairs of fake earrings. They were seized by Louisville Customs and Border Protection. The shipment was arriving from Hong Kong and was heading to a home in Miami. Officers inspected the shipment, which was filled with thousands of pairs of earrings bearing the popular clover motif from high-end jeweler. The Van Cleef and Arpels Alhambra design is a federally protected trademark, and had the earrings been real, the value would have been more than $30 million. 9 finalists were selected for this year's contest, including 6 students in our area. You can cast your ballot for one that you like the most during the Kentucky State Fair, and the top design will be printed on stickers and sent to county clerks to give to voters during the May 2026 primary election. UPS makes a special delivery to the Louisville Zoo. 2 koalas. We're going to share how visitors can learn updates about the new additions to the zoo. Plus, new developments after an officer is seen punching a driver during a traffic stop in Florida. We're going to reveal if that officer will face any charges after the break. There will be no action taken against the Jacksonville, Florida officer seen in a viral video punching a man during an arrest. The video posted to Instagram shows 22-year-old William McNeil Jr. asking to speak with the sergeant, and 5 seconds later, another officer breaks his car window and then punches McNeil in the face. An investigation by the sheriff's office found the officer who pulled McNeil over was unsure of his intentions at the time. It was also stated that McNeil knew that he was driving with a suspended license, had drugs inside the car, as well as a knife at his feet. National Guard troops were spotted in Washington, D.C. as President Trump launches a crackdown on street crime. This video shows troops out today near the Washington Monument. 5 military vehicles were parked near the monument as tourists passed by, and they're part of a mobilization of about 800 soldiers the Army activated to assist with law enforcement. The troops were notified that they would be deployed until September 25th. The Department of Transportation has launched what it says is a faster, more secure system for air travel complaints. The DOT says that the previous complaint system relied on 30-year-old technology. It says that the legacy technology slowed the process for airlines and ticket agents to get copies of complaints and work on resolving them. The new online system will automatically update in real time. The DOT recommends people attempt to resolve their issues directly with the airline or travel agency before filing a complaint. A Louisville man is using his business experience to help families reach financial stability. We're going to explain how you can learn more about managing and investing your money after the break.
Well, it's another afternoon where we're tracking these downpours. They're not for everybody, though. We'll go through the radar update and give you a look to lower rain chances, higher temperatures rolling toward the weekend. We'll have the 10-day earliest alert from the Weather Garden when we come back.
Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett is joining us from the Weather Garden. And Kevin, it looks kind of nice out there today. Some folks, though, got some rain.
Yeah, not bad. A little cooler than yesterday, Myra, because we've got a few more clouds overhead. Still pretty nice, even though we have a few showers nearby. And that just means that temperatures are in the 80s instead of the 90s, at least for many. Our heat index, though, is up there at 95. So we're still dealing with some humidity. Those dew points are still in the low 70s this hour. We're going to continue to see that over the next couple of days as well, with increasing heat to boot. So we were talking highs back in the mid to upper 90s by the weekend. All right, another good news report here, and this is on the allergy report for the grass pollen today. It's in the low range. That's something we haven't seen all season, so we'll take that. On the patio tonight, rain chances stay low. They're still not zero, so you're going to want to keep an eye on the app. Just check the radar before you head out. Make sure you've got enough time to grab dinner. Temperatures will be in the 80s through the evening, gradually falling into the 70s overnight tonight. We're going to push back into the low 90s tomorrow, it looks like. Speaking of 90s, we've got a few of those on the map this afternoon. Currently, just about everybody in our viewing area in the 80s and a few 70s. So Evansville's at 90. We're just a degree away at 89. Jeff at 88. But you see places like Salem at 75, and that's because we have rain nearby. And a few of these downpours are producing lightning strikes, but not many. Nothing like we saw yesterday. You can see the heaviest downpour we have is off to our north. This is not far from Henryville. This will be pushing through with a period of heavy rain. Much of this even stretching down into parts of Floyd County, gradually fading away. Here in Louisville, we've had a fading shower over toward J-Town, still down to a few sprinkles there. And you'll notice as that continues to move off to the east, that will fade completely away. Additional downpours, yeah, still some lightning with this. This is toward Upton and Magnolia, down into parts of southern LaRue and near Bonneville, Hart County. That stretches over even into parts of southern Grayson County. So we do have a few places that we've been watching in terms of rainfall. Nothing severe. Severe weather is not expected. These downpours will fade away, but places that are picking them up either today or yesterday could see some patchy fog develop overnight. That burns off by mid-morning tomorrow, and through the afternoon tomorrow, we'll see another day with highs near 90 into the low 90s, and that means we could develop at least a few, probably fewer than today, but a few. We'll keep it at 20% for the storm chance on our Thursday. Rain chances go down after that as temperatures go up. The heat wave will intensify for the weekend. With the lack of clouds and rain, we're soaring into the mid to upper 90s. Could be the hottest of the season so far by Sunday with that high temperature forecast of 97. Hang in there, though. The front moves through by mid to late next week. That brings our next best rain chance, and that will also bring in some cooler temperatures for the end of next week. And in the long-term forecast, we still see it showing up in the data, cooler temperatures to take hold not just in the northeast but across a chunk of the eastern half of the country. We'll be included in that. That's late August. Right now it's 89, feels like 95. 90s will be replaced with temperatures in the 70s tonight. We're going to stay warm and muggy, though. Tomorrow, back to the 90s. 91 for the high. The pop-up storm chance is 20%. Here's the 10-day. It's a 10% chance of rain midday tomorrow, taking it to 20% in the afternoon. The peak heating, high temperatures upper 80s to low 90s tomorrow. Will continue to increase the warmth in the 10-day forecast, taking us into the mid to upper 90s by the weekend into early next week. There you see the midweek rain chance next week, taking us back into the 80s, Myra. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Oh, the 80s do sound good. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Well, this October, a conference to help people build financial stability will take place at Caesars, Southern Indiana. And the person behind this is a Louisville man who is only 23 years old. And as Wave Sunrise anchor Shannon Cogan gives us a look at what's good as he's been hustling since he was 8 years old.
Sorry to keep you guys waiting.
Thaddeus Major can often be found working on one of the homes he's flipping. So far, that number is up to 30. He's used to working hard for financial rewards, something he discovered at a young age.
So I wanted a remote control car, and my parents wouldn't get it for me because I had already gotten one remote control car.
His parents own Alpha Cheer Gymnastics. He started making and selling hair bows.
But everyone was buying them. I don't think anyone would buy a bow from an 8-year-old anyway.
Did you get the other remote control car?
Oh, I did, within a week.
The Brown Elementary School student turned that money into a new venture.
So I started cutting grass, knocking door to door at 13. I bought a lawnmower from my bow money.
He joined Future Business Leaders of America at Trinity High School.
I bought a lot of Bitcoin.
And invested in Bitcoin after learning about it, using that money to expand his landscaping crew to 10 and started throwing parties for high school kids they would pay to get in.
For every 100 persons, we will have one security guard. So I would have about 10 security. I would have 2 ambulances on standby.
He then turned his attention to real estate. Now he's working on stabling the income of families. He's putting on a conference called Eternal Wealth, where financial advisors and business leaders will offer insight to those in attendance.
Eternal wealth, because the wealth will last forever.
How did someone just 23 become so motivated?
I give a lot of credit to my parents. A lot of credit to my parents, and even more credit to God.
He says he's donated 16 lawnmowers to kids to give them a head start.
If I could give them that push, maybe they'll go farther than I did.
Shannon Cogan, Wave News.
And that's good news. Thaddeus also speaks at juvenile detention centers, helping teens think about their future once they are out and even assist them in business plans. For information about his conference, you can go to this story at wave3.com. We'll be right back. New here at 5:30, 2 furry new koalas. They arrived at Louisville Zoo. That's thanks to a special delivery from UPS. The precious cargo inside: meet koalas Chuckles and Mayala, the Australian marsupials. They were transported from the West Coast and arrived with a breeding recommendation. The journey to Louisville, called Operation Boomerang, was entrusted to the UPS logistics experts at Worldports. The koalas are currently getting comfortable with their new home, and they will soon be viewable at their new exhibit. Can't wait to check them out. Well, people living in Louisville, they can soon get your dog spayed and neutered for free. Metro Animal Services has teamed up with Ethan Almighty to host a series of free clinics. You can also get microchipping and vaccinations by registering your dog. The clinics will be hosted monthly through December and on the last Sunday of the month. The next clinic is scheduled for August 31st from 8 a.m. to noon. We thank you for joining us here on Wave News at 5. Wave News at 6 is coming up next.